Sit-ins are a non-violent way of protesting a certain establishment by entering a business, sitting down, and refusing to leave until they are forced to or until their issues with the business are dealt with. On February 1st, 1960, 4 students at North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University in Greensboro organized a sit-in at a nearby restaurant to protest the segregated nature of the restaurant and all restaurants. At this time in the U.S., there was a lot of racial tension because of segregation. Segregation separated races by giving them different facilities to use at a time. Different races would have different places to sit, different water fountains to drink from, and have all different kinds of public services. At the time, the government believed that this was a good idea because there was already a lot of tension between white Americans and African Americans. However, this idea backfired because segregation only separated the groups more. It also creates animosity when one group is favored over the other. This happened to a very obvious degree, as the services that white Americans received were much better than the services that African Americans received. This is why the Greensboro Four decided to organize their sit-in. This, however, recognizes the segregation of private businesses, which is a little bit different. At the time, the segregation of public businesses have been addressed by groups such as the Freedom Riders. However, the segregation of private businesses had not been. The 4 students at AT&T College, Ezel Blair Jr., Franklin McCain, Joseph McNeil, and David Richmond all wanted to protest private businesses. This is why they organized this sit-in. The Greensboro Four entered a Woolworth's general merchandise store that had a dining area. The men bought small items, retained the receipts as proof of purchase before sitting down at a store's lunch counter. They were unable to stay at the counter because it was for whites only. However, they refused to leave. They were told that they would not refuse service, but they explained that they would only leave if they received service or if they were forced. The lunch counter manager contacted the police, but Johns had already alerted the local media. The police arrived only to declare that they could do nothing, because the 4 men were paying customers of the store, and had not taken any provocative actions. The media's response, however, was immediate, and a photo of the Greensboro Four quickly appeared in the local newspaper, and the protest quickly expanded. The next day, the 4 came back to the same spot with another 20 or so, and continued the protest. Soon after, the protest grew even more. Soon the protest took place with people flooding out the doors of the diner. The Greensboro Four created a wave in the United States, and this sparked a movement in the U.S. Suddenly, people began to organize sit-ins all over the country, with a variety of different reactions. Sit-ins are a non-violent way to protest, but they received a lot of backlash from many white Americans. By the end of March, the movement had spread to 55 cities in 13 states. Though many were arrested for trespassing, disorderly conduct, or disturbing the peace, national media coverage of the sit-ins brought increasing attention to the civil rights movement. In response to the success, many businesses began to change their ways and integrate by the summer of 1960. The actions of the Greensboro Four and all others participating in sit-ins should all be considered heroic because they were putting their lives on the line for their people. They persevered, and in the end, it would lead to a better future. They were putting their lives on the line for their people, and they understood that they could be attacked at any point. Many racist white Americans would attack them and hurt them in any way they could. However, they stood their ground as much as they could. They understood that even if they were hurt or arrested, this would only lead to their movement growing. The more that people attacked them, the more sympathy that they could gain for their movement and for themselves. The Greensboro Four have been recognized in modern history as important historical figures, and a statue of them has actually been erected at AT&T College. The Greensboro Four belonged to the SNCC. The SNCC, or the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, was founded in Raleigh, North Carolina in April 1960. Over the years, the SNCC served as one of the leading forces in the civil rights movement. They organized many historical protests, such as the Freedom Rides throughout the South in 1961 and the historical March on Washington in 1963, where Martin Luther King gave his seminal "I Have a Dream" speech. The SNCC worked close along with the NAACP as well, and they should all be recognized for their heroic actions and for the future that we have developed today.